Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay Will. So 3 months with the Asus Zenfone 5, we're going to talk about it in this video. So the first thing I want to touch on with this phone is the price. Now the price of this phone ranges from $300 to $500. The $500 version is actually the official US version with the 5Z, which has a Snapdragon 845 inside, so be sure to check the links in the description where you can pick up yours. Now I have the global version as well. This is the version with the Snapdragon 636, and there is a difference. The Snapdragon 636 is not a power user's dream, but it is a very nice, efficient processor. So the pricing on this thing ranges from $300 to $500. Now the hardware on this phone is simply amazing to me, and it gives me a glimpse of what Apple is going to do with their next iPhone and every other phone that's going to follow that trend. However, this phone itself has this flat metal sides and chassis on it. It has a glass front and back. Now while I'm not a fan of the glass front and back, having the glass front, obviously we have to have that for the screen, but the glass back, it would have been nice if this still had a metal body all on the back and been same design, just metal with no glass on the back. I would really fall in love with it. I really like the design of this phone. When you look at the phone, you get microphones all over the place. So there's a microphone on the top, there's a microphone on the side next to the SIM tray, there's a microphone on the bottom, and the audio quality that comes from this thing is just simply amazing when you're doing videos. Now when you flip over to the front to watch those videos, you have a massive 6.2-inch display, folks. It is 1080p and it is gorgeous. This is one of the better 1080p displays. You hear people say that sometimes, but what I'm saying is I'm comparing it to the 1080p displays that are in my catalog, and this one just looks really nice to me. I really like it. So hardware on this thing, fingerprint reader, dual camera setup on the rear, LED flash, nice little branding, you know, it's really nice. And with the hardware that you can't see is the stereo speakers, and it has what's called outside mode, which is just awesome. Now, I talked about the Snapdragon 636 earlier. That is where this phone kind of drops off a little bit with me. I wish it was a Snapdragon 660, but it's a 636, and to me, in my experience, there is a difference. The 636 is fast, but doesn't run as smooth as the 625, and the 660 is fast and fluid. So this is based on the 660 platform for the Snapdragon, but the 636 does lag, and I do have some lag every now and then with performance, but overall it's not something that would make me say, oh my gosh, this is horrible. There might just be a small delay sometimes, and that's going to happen because Android is very fragmented, and well, it's known for that. But some processors just show it a little bit more, and the 636 is one of those processors. And I say this not for this phone only. I have other phones that have a Snapdragon 636, and they pretty much perform the same. There's a little bit of lag every now and then, but then it goes away. Now, an important part of a phone to me is the battery life, and the battery life on this phone, stunning. Now, I'm not getting 8 hours and 10 hours of screen on time, but I am able to make it through a full day and then some and still grab at least 5.5 hours of screen on time. For me, that's actually really, really good. Having a 3300 milliamp hour battery, and I shouldn't say only because that's actually a big battery, but it also depends on how the phone is optimized, and that is really important. So with that being said, battery life for me has been great. Now, you will get different battery life. You may not get 5 hours, you might get 7 hours. Those watching this video with the Asus Zenfone 5, you might be getting 6 hours. I don't know. Battery life is always going to depend on the user, so always remember that when you're listening to a review of a battery. Now, I talked about the sound quality from this phone, so I'm going to go ahead and give you a demo. Now that to me is superb sound quality coming from a phone. This phone is much louder than my iPhone X and my iPhone 8 Plus, and that's saying a lot because, you know, those phones have very loud speakers. It's great. This is probably one of the better renditions of a stereo speaker setup that I don't really like the earpiece and the bottom firing, but this one sounds great, folks. It is absolutely fantastic in sound quality. Hit that outdoor mode, you do lose a little bit of bass, but it kicks it way up. Now, cameras is where this phone really shines to me. I've had just the best experience with the cameras. I've taken photos from, I've taken it on a trip, I've done videos with it. I've done videos with this phone right here. And sometimes I do that. I don't use my DSLR. I'll use a phone. I used to use phones full time, you guys know that. And it just started to get really difficult. And I became inconsistent with the video footage because I wanted to use different phones after my U11 crashed on me. However, this phone right here, I've used it for videos. I've used it for social media, lots of social media, Instagram, Twitter, Google+. I've posted videos directly there from this phone, and I absolutely love it. It's just a really nice set of cameras on here, front and rear. And again, audio recording, the sound quality is just superb on this phone. Video footage is great. Photos come out great. I just don't have any complaints. So this has been my go-to phone. I use this phone the most of all the phones I have currently right now. Having this phone for going on 4 months, and I probably use it 4 days out of 7 of all, straight through, of all the phones I have. So pretty much I'll switch on the weekend for a review item or something like that, or use 2 phones. But this one gets the most usage of all the phones. And I think it's just the form factor. It's got a big screen, but it's a big phone. Now, don't get me wrong, but I have big hands. But for me, it's just enough phone where I don't have to fumble around with it with 2 hands in most cases. It's got the beautiful full screen, which I really, really like. And the performance is good enough for me for daily tasks. The lag that I spoke of, it's not too bad. It goes away after like once or twice of it happening. The network is great for me. Speaking of network, I'll close out with this. Now, the global version that I use, it doesn't have all the T-Mobile bands. I believe it just has band 4. But where I live at and where you live at, in most cases, 2 and 4 are the main bands for T-Mobile. Band 12, I hear people now saying, oh, I only get band 12 where I live at. You should probably switch carriers if you're not. I couldn't imagine a person being on T-Mobile and not being in a coverage area of at least 2 and 4. It's strange. I remember back when T-Mobile first started, so they would definitely do these coverage checks at the register to make sure you can actually use the phone, because they didn't want you to bring it back. But if you're in an area that's predominantly no 2 and 4, I don't recommend that you use T-Mobile. And that's not a stab at T-Mobile. It just makes common sense. Go with the carrier that works. But I hear a lot of people saying, oh, I would buy that if it had band 12, or I would buy that if it had this. 2 and 4 are the main bands for T-Mobile. So if you're not in one of those, which is all over the world, which is shock to me, it's pretty much everywhere. Band 12 is a new band. It's not a band that's everywhere yet. So if you have band 4 or 2 and you're in that coverage area, these phones will work great for you. Unless you just buy the US launch one, the 5Z for $500, you're set. But this version that I have, I believe it has band 4, and I'll just double check real quick. Yeah, I believe it has band 4, and that works great because band 4 is a strong LTE band throughout the US. So with that being said, my coverage with this phone is fantastic. And I think that's why I go back to it a lot, because I can travel and stay on 4G LTE the entire time throughout. And when I say travel, I mean outside of where I live at. I go to a different state, and I've tested it. It's fantastic. No problems at all. So this has been my go-to phone. I do want to do a quick follow-up video for you guys on the Asus Zenfone 5. 3 months later, I'm really going on 4, but 3 months, a full 3 months in, it's been fantastic, man. And I could highly recommend this phone at this point. And I'm going to buy the US version of it because I wanted to test out the Snapdragon 845. And then I also want to get all of the bands to see if I'm wasting money by going to the US version instead of keeping this one. Because when I get that one, I'm probably not going to keep this. I'll probably sell it off. I don't need 2 of the same phone. But we'll see how that works out whenever I do get it. And I'm really excited to be able to grab the US version. It's $500, so that's something to consider. It's your man Jay Will. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.